Right. What is this? What's happening?
This is the way to reserve a ticket on a train.
Or not to.
The best way to, if you can't buy a ticket or get a reservation for a train going up to the coast or something, you simply wait for a train to come into the station, and even before it stopped moving, you'd simply jump through the window to be able to get into an empty compartment and reserve some seats for yourself and for your friends.
Was it really that difficult to get a ticket on a local?
There just weren't enough trains for the amount of people who wanted to go. So yes, it was difficult.
Because you had to get a ticket, and then if you wanted to sit, then you had to buy an extra
reservation. Yes.
Reservation. So this guy,
but even not necessarily a reservation. The trains were so full that you simply it was best to jump into the still moving carriage just to get any seat, but for yourself and for your friends. So these guys would simply wait to see an open window and then just jump in while the train was still moving, which is pretty dangerous, of course, but it's a pretty good method of making sure you had a seat. Not so much a reservation, but a seat.
But you had to have a ticket either way, because if not, you'd be kicked off the train.
Well, you'd probably have to pay an extra, not so much a fine, but an extra payment for the conductor to issue a new ticket.
Do you remember where this was taken? Which train station?
This was Warszawa Wschodnia, which is Warsaw East. East Warsaw Station.
So this train could have been going where? From Warszawa Wschodnia?
Well, I guess it could be going up to the coast.
Is that what they used to?
No, I mean, I could have gone to another station, but I guess that's one of the main stations to get on if you live in the...
I guess that's true to this day, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Did you know, was this why you came to the train station?
I was hoping to catch that.
Yeah? So you'd observed it before and you were...
Yes, and I was lucky to... But even then, you can see I only just made it.
Yeah, I mean, this lady is completely blind.
But that's a nice piece of movement of a completely unrecognizable lady. It adds something to the dynamics of the picture. But yes, I knew that this is the way people used to travel, or young people used to travel up during the summer up to the coast. And I was just hoping I'd catch somebody jumping headfirst into a carriage.
So what, you woke up one morning and decided to go to the train station and see if you could spot anyone jumping in through the window?
That's more or less the way a photographer works, yes. You wake up and you say, time to go to a train station, yes.
So this was your daily routine, was
just going to train stations.
There was no routine, that was the routine.
No routine. Well, that's the great part of being a photographer, or at least a photojournalist, is there is no routine.
No office, no working hours.
No.
Well, that's
and in
good.
In those days, there were no cell phones, no mobile phones, so nobody could catch you anywhere.
So you were free to leave, and
I could do what I wanted and just disappear, and then end up at home and say, "Here I am. You can talk to me now."
And meanwhile, Mama and I were at home worried.
You were just wondering what I was doing. Yes.
You used to disappear for days, and sometimes you would go on trips and we knew that you'd be away, and sometimes you'd go out to shoot something and come back days later.
Yes. No, I think, but again, that's the joy of being a photojournalist.
The joy for you.
Yeah, well, exactly. I understand that I wasn't a very good husband or father because I was just never there.
No, I don't remember you not being there, but...
I do. Never quite there.
As long as you came back with a gift, with some sort of toy, it was fine.
Yes, a dress for my wife and a toy for you.
Yeah, that was the price of...
Those were the good old days, yes.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember if... I remember taking trains in the... This must have been, the early 80s, mid-80s?
That's the 80s, yes.
I remember taking the sleeper train to Zakopane with Babcia, and that was very comfortable and nice.
Yes, obviously, if you could actually get a reservation and get a ticket, then the trains were okay. And sometimes they were even faster than they are today, but that's a different question. But I love trains, actually, so I am, even though I didn't travel much by train in those days, but I used to understand why. When I came from England to Poland on my holidays, summer holidays, in the 60s and 70s, I always went by train. Yeah. Nobody flew in those days, at least only rich people flew.
First time you came to Poland?
63.
63, so you were how old then?
12 and a half. And then 15, I came on my own, and then more or less every summer.
And you drove once, right?
I drove in 1970 with a friend with an old Land Rover.
Which kept breaking down.
It did break down, but the good thing about Land Rovers, the ones from the 1950s, was that you could repair them by just going into any tractor repair shop or anything, whatever, or a blacksmith even. You could do anything could be repaired.
Yeah, but speaking of car, I mean, you said that you preferred driving, but I found this picture in this book of yours where you can see just how few cars there were on the roads, and there's this great picture. I think it's the highway to Berlin.
No, this is a motorway from between Legnica and Wrocław, which one of the few remnants of the German autobahns built by Hitler, really, before the war. And this is the remnant. And in the 70s and the 80s, this was the only motorway in Poland, or highway. We didn't have them at all.
And it was empty.
Well, in this picture, it's empty, of course. There were slightly more cars, but not as many as there are nowadays.
Does that mean that it was easier to get around by car and faster? Or were you still limited by...
You were limited by the fact that the roads were bad.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can see in this picture that doesn't look like a very smooth...
The East German Autobahn, what the remnants of the German Autobahns that remained in East Germany they were built of concrete slabs. So it was a thump, 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 thump. You couldn't fall asleep on a East German motorway, and this was the same case here. It was thump, thump, thump. Whereas today it's you just smoothly drive. So it wasn't much fun.
And what were you driving back then? I remember the Maluch, the little Fiat.
My first car was a little Fiat 126, yes.
And we would go to the mountains.
We'd go everywhere. I even went with my wife to Bulgaria or even to England. But it always broke down.
You drove it to England?
Yes, I drove it to England. But it broke down, of course. And then on the way to Bulgaria, it also broke down. So.
And what did you do? It wasn't a Land Rover that you could fix?
No. But you could always find somebody who could fix something. I mean, these cars are pretty simple. Yeah, I think everybody used to drive around. If you were on any longer journey, you'd have to have it in the trunk or the boot. You'd have to have a whole supply of spare parts just in case.
Well, I remember in Mama's Fiat, you had to have a broomstick holding up the ceiling.
Yes, but the broomstick was also handy in the little Fiat. If the starter broke down or the cable broke to the starter, you'd simply have to open the back of the car with the engine and use the broomstick to poke a little space where the starter was, and you could start the car with So there's two uses for the broomstick. It was to hold the ceiling up and to start the car.
But you were lost without a broomstick in your car.
But you have to remember also that in the little Fiat, the seats weren't foldable. You couldn't sort of just fold it back. They were welded tight, stiff. But I'm pretty big, and it's a small car, so I would simply break these seats. Eventually, going to Bulgaria or whatever, I would simply move slightly on it, and the seat would snap. So I had to spend a lot of time in sort of workshops where they would weld my seats together. But
there was a back seat. How did you get into the back seat? If you couldn't
through the front seat.
Yeah, you had to squeeze.
It was a tough. But you could get quite a few people into a little Fiat.
Yeah, I remember you could get a whole family plus the dog plus all the luggage and drive all the way to
Bulgaria. Yeah.
But then, when did we start going to the Polish seaside, to Jurata on the Hel Peninsula? Was that in the early 80s?
That's at the beginning of the 80s, I think, yes.
And you'll take
just when you were a small kid then, yeah.
And you'll take the Maluch, the Fiat, and drive all the way those 400 kilometers.
I guess so, yes. Yeah. Now I can't imagine doing it in a small car like that, but any car was good in those days. So we were younger, so it was much more fun.
So I see from these pictures that not only would we spend our summer holidays by the sea with the same group of people, but we'd also spend all the other holidays with the same people.
In the south of Poland and in the mountains.
This is the mountains.
In Bukowina.
Gustav Holubek, who we can see here in Jurata.
Several pictures, yes.
When do you remember meeting him?
Well, we were lucky to make friends with Gustav Holubek and his wife, Magda Zawadzka, both actors, of course, and because we were neighbors in Warsaw, simply. And because they had a son more or less your age, and you two made friends. You were the catalyst for our friendship, and this friendship still lasts, although Gustav is no longer alive. But they used to live in the mountains with some of these sort of mountain couples. They would stay with these people in Bukovina, and they sort of somehow told us to come with them during Easter. We were always there on Easter time.
I remember being there, spending Easter in the mountains every time.
Yeah. And then we persuaded them to come with us to Jurata on Help.
Oh, that was us?
That was us. We converted them to Jurata, and they converted us to Bukovina. So it was a wonderful friendship.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together, and still do.
But Jurata on the Hell Peninsula was a wonderful place. As I said, it reminded me of England in the 50s, but for no reason really. But for some reason, a lot of the actors used to come to Jurata, all the good actors, famous actors, or whatever, or cameramen, camera and the directors of photography, and we all. It was complete democracy in the 80s because the conditions were bad. I mean, the way you lived, there was nothing comfortable. There was no comfortable hotel.
Even the one luxury hotel was.
It wasn't much of a luxury hotel. Yeah. So everybody lived in the same conditions. Even how we used to have outside loos, lavatories outside in the gardens. It was terrible. But we loved it, perhaps because of all that, but because nobody could sort of be above anybody else. It was complete democracy. These were famous actors who... There was just no chance of living in luxury up on the coast, but we all loved it because we all lived the same way. Nowadays, of course, it's changed completely.
Well, Jurata's changed, and the dynamic has changed.
Yeah, everything's changed, and... but we still love it, but it's just different.
No, I remember those garden parties that someone would throw a garden party every night. Yeah.
No, it was fun. It was wonderful. And it often rained, so we'd stay in one room, 30 people in one room, eating some cakes or some frankfurters, which you could buy for dollars.
And if someone had a TV, that was
magic.
Yeah.
What we all missed was a washing machine.
Oh, yeah,
there was no way to do your washing unless you simply had to wash it by hand or take it back to Warsaw and wash it later on. So the thing we were prayed for was for somebody to open a laundrette, but that never happened, of course.
That would have been a good idea for. But did you stay with us the whole summer, or would you go back and forth?
Sometimes I had to sort of disappear. Yes, put it that way. Photographers disappear.
And now you're off to Jurata again
Of course. Sometimes.
How many years has it been?
It's been 40-odd years, and we still love it, even though it's changed completely.
It's changed a lot.
Conditions are much better, of course, but it's changed.
Well, prices
are much higher than Warsaw, really.
Yeah. Much higher than anywhere.
But we still love it for some reason. I think the beaches.
Still the beach.
The beaches on the Hel Peninsula, anywhere on the Polish coast, are actually wonderful beaches. The sand is fantastic. If you go anywhere else in the world, you'll never find, it's very, very difficult to find sand as fine as you get here on the Baltic coast. So we just love it.
Well, I have very fond memories of Jurata. Give it my regards when you get there.
I shall indeed. I mean, you were brought up there, and you made most of your friends there.
Pretty much.
And you're still friends with them now. No, it's a wonderful place.